welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a in-depth eyebrow tutorial. Because I know y'all be seeing me and y'all be like, how eyebrows be on point? Well, I'm about to show you how I do it. And when I say my eyebrows be the same every time, they be the same every time. But I've been doing this for years now, so it come easy to me. But I'm about to show y'all my routine, show y'all what I do, my techniques, all of that, so you can follow along and have your eyebrows on point like me. First things first, you want to look at your brows and get a good visual of how they're shaped or how you want them to look. So I do my eyebrows based off of how my eyebrows are already shaped. But if you're somebody who doesn't like the shape of their brows, you can of course change that. It's makeup. So you want to first look at your brows and get that visual representation of what you want them to look like. And then once you've done that, I have a spoolie here. You want to get you a spoolie and just brush your brow hairs in the direction that you want them to go. Now, as you can see, like, there are many tutorials on YouTube as on eyebrows. Some people have their eyebrow hairs going straight up. It's all up to you, as your preference. So me, I just have them kind of going in the natural direction that they're already going, just basically trying to straighten them out to get ready for the next step. Okay, so now once you've done that, the next step is almost going, because listen, I've been using it, okay? I need to get a new one. But I'm just going to take my eyebrow pencil. I do use a pencil. Some people may use dip brow. Some people may use a different type of pencil. Look at it. Look at it. I hate when it happens. But yeah, some people use a different type of pencil, like the one that you twist and it comes up out the tube. You know, it's all up to you, whichever you find works best for you. But me personally, I use a pencil. Okay, so now that I have that sharpened and ready to go, I like to get it as sharp as possible, because that's going to allow you, if you choose to follow exactly what I do, to really make sure that your outline is on point. And that's the biggest part of it all, outlining your brow. Because once you've outlined your brow, you have really set the tone for how it's going to look. And every step after that is really simple, and it's just really just to define it. So what I like to do is, like I said, I go based off my natural eyebrow shape. So all I'm really going to be doing is kind of making that shape become a little bit more visible, because as you can see, my eyebrow hairs are very thin. Well, they're not very thin, but they're pretty thin. So I'm just basically going to be kind of going in to fill them in and just make the shape become more visible to the eye. So I like to start with the top by drawing my arch, and then once I have the arch, then I go ahead and move down to the bottom. And I always like to try to keep my pencil on the sharpest part of the pencil. That's why you can see me keep looking at it and twisting and turning it. And so you see that, so I just created my arch right there. And actually, once I create the arch, then I sort of create the beginning. Now, when I do my eyebrows, I like them to look as natural as possible while still looking like, ooh, she did the damn thing. So what I do is I kind of faintly fill in the beginning of the brow. So I kind of just come in and just faintly create that line, okay? And I don't go all the way up here. I just go right to where my hairs actually started, because I'm going to actually bring the bottom out a little bit more. So now I'm going to move on to the bottom, and I like to start in the middle. And then make my way to the end. To connect that line, okay? And then once I've done that, then I move to the beginning just like I did the top, faintly. Actually, I don't necessarily make a faint line with this. I kind of do make it just as dark as I did the rest of the brow, because this is the bottom. This is really going to create the foundation, and you want it to kind of fade up so that it can look natural. Now you see how I kind of brought that line out a little bit further than where my actual hairs end at. So that's just me kind of giving it a little bit more, like I said, visibility as to actually seeing the shape of the brow. Because like I said, my hairs are very thin. So now that I have the outline, the next step would be to go ahead and fill them in. Now, just to also add, me creating these lines, like I said, is completely based off of what is already there. So when you're doing your brows, like I said, I would actually say to start off by just going based off of what you already have. If you don't like your eyebrow shape, once you become a little bit more skilled and you get good at just basically creating your brow but making it a little bit more visible, then you can go ahead and change things up a bit. If you want a different shape, if you want a deeper arch, if you want a slimmer arch, if you know, stuff like that. So you want to get more skilled at just basically kind of like tracing lines with coloring. Like, you know, you trace those lines first and then you color it in. So basically you want to get used to just tracing your own eyebrow first, and that's going to give you the best results to start out. So now I'm going to go ahead and just fill it in. I start in the middle and then go towards the end, and then I come back towards the front. Now I like to do the middle and the end darker, of course, than the front. And I make sure that end and that tail is really defined. Now going back towards the front, now this is where I start to faintly shade it in to create that natural ombre effect. And then what I typically do is I try to go a little darker towards the bottom and then lighter towards the top. But I still don't make it as harsh as the rest of the brow. And you see me kind of go up in a upward motion section because I'm following the hairs, my actual eyebrow hairs. Okay? And then once I've done that, I just go in and anything that I want to tweak or go back over, I do that. Okay, then after filling it in, I go back with my spoolie and I just brush through it. And brushing through it actually does something other than just brushing your hairs, because it's actually blending that, what should I say, that fill out, so that it isn't like streaky, like as if you're writing, you know. If you take that spoolie and you brush through it, it'll smooth it out so that it just looks like it's your eyebrow basically. So now that I've done that, I would just go ahead and outline my other brow next before I actually move on to sculpting with my concealer and foundation. So this part, I'm just gonna speed it up. result of outlining and filling in both my brows. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the sculpting part. So this is like the foundation, the most important part that we just did. And some people actually go out just like this. They just outline, fill it in, and then go out. Because it does give like a natural look. Looks like it's maybe your actual eyebrows. But we're going to take it even further. So what I like to do is I like to use my concealer under my brow, and then I use my foundation on top of my brow. I use the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, matte and poreless, and then I use the LA Girl Pro Concealer as my concealer application. So the LA Girl Pro Concealer, if you aren't familiar, it has like a little brush on the tip of it, and this is actually where you squeeze the product out. So I just use this to apply it. And then for my foundation, since it's just a bottle, I used a brush like this. I use like a flat brush because it makes that application on top very seamlessly. So that's what I use to apply both. And then once I apply them, I go in with the blending brush. Anyone you prefer, I prefer something that's fluffy. It's not as fluffy anymore because it has makeup on it and it needs to be cleaned. But I would say something fluffy that isn't too soft, but is just firm enough to blend. And then I use this angled brush to just blend out the foundation on top to blend out my forehead. So I like to start with the bottom, so I go in with my concealer, and then once I have it squeezed out, I just like to apply it in like a dot type of way. And then once I've done that, then I go ahead and I basically outline right outside of where I traced my eyebrow line. So now I'm just going to do this part and you guys can watch me. Really, this is all up to you and about how sturdy you can be and, you know, not be shaky and, you know, messing it up, getting those very straight and precise lines. It's all up to you. Of course, it's going to take practice. Okay, another note. When you're applying the concealer, like I said, if you choose to follow my exact steps, you don't want it to be very little to where as though, how should I say this? You want it to be opaque when you put that concealer up there. Now, you don't want it to be too opaque to where as though it's cakey and it's like clumping together, but you want it to be just enough so that it kind of looks like you're painting like a nice coat. You don't want it to be too thin, but you don't want it to be too much. And then once I've done that outline, I just go ahead and I just cover my whole eyelid. And I do like to come out a little bit more on the front there, and then I just bring it down to cover my eyelid because you want it all to blend together. Like, you don't want right under your eyebrow to be one color and then your eyelid another color, unless that's your preference. So now after I've done that, I take my blending brush. Now, typically I will spray my blending brush with setting spray just to loosen it up. But I don't feel like stepping out to go get it right now, so I'm gonna just go ahead. but that's really going to allow it to blend a little bit better. But this is just for tutorial purposes. So I'm not going to do that. But as you guys can see, I'm just patting it, or dabbing it, as I should say, because I'm using the brush. So I'm just dabbing at my eyelid and just blending that product out. If you're into makeup and you play around with makeup, this part should be very easy and simple for you. But if you're not, you want to make sure you're dabbing nice and firm, not hard, but nice and firm, so that it's like you're packing that makeup in to your skin. Okay. So that it looks like it's skin. Okay. And then once you've got that side to your liking of blending, just move on to the next side. And I like to bring it out, as you can see, as well as I like to bring it over to that side as well. So that is the first brow done. So now I'm gonna speed up the other side. Also, small memo, if your brows aren't freshly waxed or shaved, I like to put a little bit more extra concealer in the areas where my hairs are starting to grow back, so that they're really covered and they aren't seen through the makeup. Both brows done. Also, another thing that I wanted to note that I just thought about is you guys can see that this shade is a little bit lighter than my skin. It doesn't completely match my skin exactly, and that's just because I like to go for sort of a halo effect with my eyebrows, and that's exactly why I use the concealer on the bottom and not around both the top and the bottom, because my foundation color is my color, so it'll look like my color on top and a little bit lighter on the bottom, and that to me gives it like a highlighting effect and makes my eyebrows stand out a little bit more. So that's just what I like to go for. That's my preference. But if you want yours to be to match your skin, you can do that as well. But I still suggest to use a concealer under the brow, just because a concealer conceals more, and it's really going to cover that up and really create a nice it can give it that very clear, neat, and just smooth look versus, using a foundation, because we all know like foundation is foundation, but concealer is really what's going to cover and concealer. That's why it's called a concealer. So that's why I would definitely suggest to use a concealer under your brows, because it's just going to give it a very clean look, almost looking airbrushed or something. But basically, yes, make sure you use concealer under the brow, and then you can use concealer over top of your brow as well. That's your choice. I decided to go with the foundation just so it can look a little bit more natural. So now that's actually what we're about to move into. I am now about to go in with my foundation on that flat brush, like I said, and I am going to apply it with that dot-like way that I did on the bottom, on the top as well, and then we're just going to go ahead and trace and outline just like we did the bottom. And there you have it. Now And you might not do it as quick as I did it. But of course, like I said, I have lots of practice. So now it comes very easily to me. But if you haven't noticed, one thing about the foundation part and the concealer part is this is where you can correct any mistakes when you outline. So don't be too hard on yourself about your outline. Just get those brows outlined and filled in. And then if it's little, you know, curves or anything like that, you can fix that with the concealer and the foundation. So now I'm going to take that blending brush and I'm going to blend out the top as well. Oh, I forgot one little step. What I like to do, just like I did on the bottom, is bring that foundation up into my forehead so that it just all blends together. Again, like I said, just like I said about the eyelid, I want my forehead to be blended as well. So now I'm just going to take that blending brush and I'm going to blend all of that out the same way I did the eyelid. I like to start by just blending directly around the outline, and then what I also like to do is come down just to kind of make that point, and then also blend in that concealer from the bottom so that it's not so harsh, and then come back up to the top of the forehead to make sure this is all blended as well. And there you have it. This is the first eyebrow completely finished. So I'm just going to speed up on the other side, and then I'm going to come back just to show you guys the last minute things that I do to just finish the whole eyebrow step of a full face of makeup, even though I'm not doing a full face of makeup here. Also, when you're doing this, make sure that you're still like stepping back and looking at both your brows just to make sure they're somewhat identical. I'm not saying your brows have to be completely identical, but you want them to still favor each other. So you don't want one to be thicker and then one skinnier. So that's why I make sure I step back, especially at this part, because this is the top. Usually the bottom is very easily to see while doing it, but the top, when you're up close like this, you can't really see the other one. So I like to take a step back, look at it, and then maybe I need to come down a little bit more. And then once I make that original, or that line right there in the front, then I can go ahead and judge whether or not I can keep on going. Now, I don't know if y'all can tell, but I messed up a little bit, but this is the perfect example to show you guys this. When you mess up, as you can see here, I kind of came down a little bit too much right there. If you look at the other side, kind of came down a little bit too much. So I'm just going to grab my pencil back, make sure it's sharpened, make sure it's short, because you're about to fix something. And you don't want it to be smudged, you want it to be precise. So I'm going to take it, you see it's nice and short. And I'm just going to go back in and redraw the line. And when you do that, you want to make sure you press down hard so that it can wipe the concealer off. And then before going back in, I just wipe off the pencil so there's no concealer on it. And then if I just need to do it again, then I'll do it again, and I just follow that same step. And then see, now it's fixed. So now that I have it fixed, I'm just going to go back in with my brush and just finish out. Okay. And then blend. Actually, look, I almost forgot again. Alright, so now that I have both of them done, what I like to do is I like to just go back over my eyelids, because from opening and closing it creates a crease. And to fix that, if I was doing a full look, my regular makeup routine, I would put some face powder here on my eyelids to kind of keep it in place so that it doesn't keep creating that crease. And then to finish it all the way off, I like to just dab up in between so that we can get rid of those harsh lines that we created from doing the top and the bottom. So just dab around in there until it's to your liking. And yeah, and just make sure everything is blended. And there you have it. Here is the finished look. We still recording. Look, we still recording. Here's the finished look. I do this for real. I'm trying to tell you, you're not listening. But if you watch this tutorial and you follow along, you won't feel me. You won't feel me. So there you have it. It's nothing dramatic, nothing, very natural, very simple. So yeah. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely comment below any type of videos y'all want to see. I want to see what y'all interested in. Maybe I can deliver. Definitely give this video a thumbs up and subscribe because it's more content coming. Period. The next video drop is gonna begin my college vlog series rollouts starting from my freshman year. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video.